So it's Valentine's Day, I hear. Awesome. It's Valentine's Day. Your mother called me up the other day, and she asked me, JD, I wonder what it's like to be hit by Cupid's arrow. I told her, honey, listen to me. Cupid's arrow? All you have to do is unzip my fucking pants. And there's your fucking Cupid's arrow. A nice shot right between the fucking eyes. Happy Valentine's Day. And this is the Valentine's Day edition of number 104. Part number 3 of the number 1 fucking source. I can't even take myself seriously anymore, man. Jesus Christ. Off the script. You guys know the fucking deal. Jesus Christ. What kind of fucking podcast is this, man? It's JD's fucking podcast. I laugh, you laugh, we all have a good fucking time. Gotta lighten the fucking mood here, man. But thank you guys for joining me this Sunday. I'm fucking exhausted. You know, doing off the script and recording off the script back to back to back, man, takes a lot out of me. You know, I'm an animated individual. You know? Doing this is fucking making me sleepy. I'm fucking exhausted over here, but it's for you guys. Whatever. The fuck do I care? Anyway, Sunday. Happy fucking Valentine's Day, and I don't mean that at all. I fucking hate the holiday. I really do. All these fucking clowns, last minute shopping, chocolate, flowers, cheap jewelry. I mean, give me a fucking break. Please. Fuck Valentine's Day. We're here for WWE, and I got you guys covered, man. We're doing the WWE Rundown. If you guys get that, it's fantastic. If you don't, go fuck yourself. I don't know, man. I'm in a fucking mood tonight. Whatever, man. We got news on Bryan. We got news on The Undertaker and Braun Strowman being canceled because of online outrage, and rightfully so. Thank fucking Christ. We got news on The Undertaker and Kevin Owens being completely nixed by WWE officials. That will not be happening at Wrestlemania. And I got news on The Rock. Will he be wrestling at Wrestlemania? All that, plus so much more, right here on Off the Script. Do not go anywhere, okay? But let me get the fucking bullshit out of the way. ProWrestlingTees.com/offthescript. Join the movement. Get off my TV. T-shirt, official shirt of this program. $19.99. Unbelievable T-shirt. Probably the best looking T-shirt on that website. Ships internationally, everywhere in the United States. Like I said, join the movement, man. You watching Monday Night Raw, and you see Big Show, Kane, Ryback, the Social Outcasts, and all these other fucking cast of clowns that come out there, and you fucking scream up and down, get off my TV. Yeah, great. We all feel the same way. Go out and buy my shirt. It shows it off. I don't have it over here, otherwise I'd show you guys, but you guys know the deal, man. Go to ProWrestlingTees.com/offthescript, okay? This morning, the iTunes podcast was uploaded. If you guys are following me on iTunes, you should have it automatically downloaded to your device of choice, whether it's Android or Apple, whatever the case may be. You guys have the podcast. It is there for listen. Episode number 5. Talk about the Titus O'Neil situation and the suspension and Daniel Bryan's retirement. We go on a rant about Braun Strowman. We talk about NXT. I give you a little story about my time working in Manhattan, selling luxury watches, working for a piece of shit company, and fucking bosses that are similar to Vince McMahon. Great fucking listen. So go out and listen to it, man. We're available on PodBean, AudioBoom, Stitcher Radio, which I'm hearing has a lot of fucking maintenance this weekend. So, AudioBoom, iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and PodBean. You got other avenues to listen to Off the Script as well. Make sure you guys go out and download it to your device of choice. I would greatly appreciate it. And if you guys are on iTunes, make sure, this is very important, make sure to leave a 5-star rating and let me know what you think of the show. Greatly appreciated. You guys are fucking kicking ass. I think that fucking PodBean Off The Script podcast had close to 5,000 downloads last week, man. Fucking unbelievable. We're going to do the same thing again this week and grow and grow and grow each and every week. I love doing it, and it's for you guys, so hope you enjoy it, okay? What else do we got? Twitter, at JDFMNY206. Subscribe to the channel. We are now 40,300 strong plus right here on YouTube.com. Thank you guys for joining me and subscribing. If you're not subscribed, I don't know what the fuck you're waiting for, bro. I really don't understand what you're waiting for. Go and subscribe. Do yourselves a favor. Joe Cronin, congratulations to Joe. We just had another kid. Fucking unbelievable. Him and I will be back on Out of Nowhere this coming Wednesday. Make sure you guys tune into that. And the boys over at Chairshot Reality, Blake and Shane, BS with CSR. They are also on iTunes and AudioBoom. I'll leave you their links to their podcast, which is a great listen each and every week, right down in the description of this very video. That is all. That is all. Let's get into the news. I know there's someone out there complaining. Fuck you. That's all I got to say about that, man. The reason why I do the intros like I do and give you guys all the fucking shit is because it's important. It's important to me. So just leave it at that. Fast forward. Okay? But there's vital information there that I want you to hear. It's beneficial to you and to me. Makes everybody's life good. Okay? Daniel Bryan. WWE denied Daniel Bryan's request for a release from his contract in January. A few weeks ago, there was a rumor that WWE was planning to release Daniel Bryan from his contract, and he would be free to wrestle in other promotions. The rumor was dismissed, but it may have just gotten the detail wrong because something like that did happen. According to the Wrestling Observer, it's being reported by Dave Meltzer that Daniel Bryan gave his notice to WWE officials that he had plans to leave the company and go wrestle for other promotions after he had been cleared by doctors at UCLA. So, I want to stop right there. Daniel Bryan came out on Monday Night Raw and retired. Okay, he's no longer in the WWE. He retired from World Wrestling Entertainment. But he came out and added more to the story that wasn't ever reported about his concussions. He was having post-concussion seizures. Now, this was new information. Nobody had reported this. Nobody had found any news on this at all. This was new information from Daniel Bryan. But just a few weeks before he retired, he was already going to WWE and stating that he wanted his release because he wanted to go wrestle for other promotions. I don't know what other doctor he visited, and I don't know what other doctor that he went to go get further testing done, but it had to happen in between the middle of January and when he actually retired on Monday Night Raw this past Monday. I don't know, because the information is not out there. If Daniel Bryan was set to leave the WWE and manned up and had the balls to ask Vince for his release because he wanted to go to New Japan or Ring of Honor, in his mind, he was okay. By every other doctor that he visited, those doctors said that Bryan is okay. He can wrestle. You know, there's still a part of me, and I love Bryan. I love Bryan, and I want the absolute best for his health. But there's some part of me that believes WWE forced him to make this decision, just like AJ Lee made that decision. She retired because she knew that if she was to wait her contract out, she would be miserable. You know, CM Punk walked away. He just walked away. He walked out of the company because if he knew if he had to remain under contract, he was going to go through hell. And he didn't want to be in and around that environment. Okay? They weren't using him the way he wanted to be used. He had the balls to say, fuck you, I'm walking out. AJ Lee did the same thing. She didn't want to finish her contract. Okay? Daniel Bryan took the same route as AJ Lee. He retired. And there's a part of me that believes WWE forced him out. Forced him out. There's a part of me that doesn't believe. And yes, he went on SportsCenter, and yes, he was interviewed by Jonathan Coachman, and yes, he said this in front of a live audience on Monday Night Raw in his hometown, but there's just a small itty-bitty part of me that believes what Daniel Bryan was saying about the post-concussion seizures is all fabricated bullshit. It's something that WWE wanted him to go out there and say. So that's my feeling on it, you know? And I truly, that's what I truly feel. Because there's just so much reporting and so much news and information about Daniel Bryan being cleared and Daniel Bryan being analyzed by doctor after doctor after doctor, you know? And the latest one being at UCLA. There's been photographs of Daniel Bryan training and doing jiu-jitsu and MMA and getting in shape. Just when WWE, in hopes of calling him back to World Wrestling Entertainment. He was hopeful that WWE was going to fucking ring his phone, come back to work. So, after all that, then that little piece of information comes out that Bryan is now having seizures, or was having seizures. I mean, that's new information. You know? It was never reported that Daniel Bryan has had a history of concussions dating back to the age of 18. That was never reported. You know? I want to believe what Daniel Bryan is saying, and I want to believe that he's going to go on and live a prosperous, healthy life post-WWE, which I'm sure he will. But a part of me thinks that WWE forced him out because they simply and truly do not want him as a liability under contract with that company. You know? So I really don't know. All this is really not making sense to me. He wanted to go leave the WWE. He wanted to release it. He wanted to go wrestle. In his mind, at this point, at the end of January, he had hopes to go wrestle somewhere else because he was cleared by a UCLA doctor. Bryan's contract didn't give him the right to give a notice, and it was denied because his contract has been frozen. There is a provision in most superstar contracts that extends a contract's time frame if he or she has been sidelined for an extended period of time. It's very similar to the Rey Mysterio contract situation that saw Mysterio forced to stay with WWE for longer than he would have liked. In Daniel Bryan's situation, the only real way he would be able to get released from the company is if he took WWE to court, which could take just as long depending on the contract extension. So it's very likely that Daniel Bryan accepted his fate after learning that he can't leave the company without taking them to court, and he'll be officially announcing his retirement from wrestling tonight, or on Monday Night Raw. This report was pulled on Monday. According to WrestleZone.com, Daniel Bryan was specifically looking to get back to work with Ring of Honor or even New Japan Pro Wrestling. This all has to do with his contract. You know? That's something that obviously is not going to be brought to light on WWE television. He's not going to go out there and say, listen, my contract was frozen. I didn't want to be sitting around anymore. I'm going to retire. You know, obviously he wasn't going to go out and say that. But this is new information. So a part of me truly still thinks, just a little part of me, you know, that Daniel Bryan was forced out by WWE. This is the only way to go about it. Daniel Bryan knew there was only one way out, and that was to step away from WWE. On this week's Monday Night Raw, the fight ended for WWE's fan favorite Daniel Bryan. He announced his retirement from professional wrestling due to medical reasons, and he'll never wrestle again for any promotion. However, in the weeks and even months before his retirement, what was Daniel Bryan planning to do in wrestling? What would he have liked to do? He had asked to be released from his contract from WWE. The company turned him down. But if they hadn't, what were his plans? Despite the fact he was going to be making dramatically less money for other promotions, he thought that this time, with his name and fan loyalty that he has built, that he could help pro wrestling as a whole by bringing his star power to other brands. There were also reports that Bryan was following and seriously considering CMLL as a possibility for the next chapter of his wrestling career. In fact, he was growing his hair and beard out so much... Beard. I wish I had a fucking beard. He was growing his hair out and his beard out so much that he wanted to go into the promotion and do a hair versus mask match. The greatest question of Daniel Bryan's career now, after retirement on Monday Night Raw, will be, and always will be, what if? It's my favorite Creed song right there, What If? Great fucking song. But listen, you know, Daniel Bryan's no longer in the WWE. And that makes Daniel Bryan and Punk my two fucking favorites of this generation. No longer in WWE. Punk, news on Punk as well. He's getting back surgery for his training in UFC. You know, that's a whole nother story. I'm not even going to report about it because, I mean, nobody seems to be fucking really talking about it. But Punk is now getting back surgery. He has a herniated disc, and his training is halted. He's not going to be making his debut in July at UFC 199, or June, one of those months, this summer. He was supposed to be fighting Mikey Gall, and now that's going to be put on hold, and Punk is going to try and get back to his debut match at November's pay-per-view or December's pay-per-view. So, we don't know what's going on with CM Punk. If I hear anything else, obviously, I will let you guys know right here. But Daniel Bryan, that is the latest on Daniel Bryan and what had happened behind the scenes before his retirement and everything leading up to his retirement speech. You know, I am a Daniel Bryan fan, and I loved everything about Daniel Bryan and the journey, watching him grow into what made Daniel Bryan so special, and the WrestleMania moment that he got from WWE. There's always going to be a part of me that is going to wonder and always question what's going on with Daniel Bryan, even now after he's retired. You know, a part of me, even though it's illogical and it's stupid to think, you know, but it's there. You know, the conspiracy theories out there that Daniel Bryan wasn't brought back to WWE because of Roman Reigns. There's just an itty-bitty part of me that believes WWE would do something like that, even though Daniel Bryan is a money-making machine for WWE. You know? I truly believe there are some people in the WWE that think that way. I'm not saying that is the ultimate decision. You know, that's what WWE would do, but there are people in WWE, I firmly believe that didn't want Daniel Bryan back for the reason of him fucking shit up and swaying the crowd again and just, you know, doing what he does organically. Taking those fans away from Roman Reigns and making Roman Reigns look bad and weak and, you know, feeble compared to Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan would outshine everybody. And like I said, I truly believe there are people in WWE that didn't want to see that happen. And I truly believe that Daniel Bryan was forced out by WWE. I think Daniel Bryan is okay. If he wanted to go wrestle for New Japan or Ring of Honor, I think Daniel Bryan could do that. The concussion seizures, I don't know, nobody heard anything about that. That's a totally new fucking, you know, speck of information in this entire story. Because according to Bryan, he was okay. You know, he got cleared by UCLA. And he was making plans to leave WWE because he wanted to wrestle. You know? Why wasn't that other information revealed? Due to these inside sources like Meltzer and Alvarez. Why wasn't that reported? You know? So I really don't know what to believe. All we know is that Daniel Bryan is no longer in the WWE. Stepped away. He was forced to retire because WWE had frozen his contract. And he wanted out. He didn't want to be a part of that anymore. If they weren't going to use him for the thing that he loves most, he just wanted to walk away. So who knows what's next for Daniel Bryan? Really. It was a beautiful moment. We all got to sit there and get emotional and see this guy cry and break down because he genuinely wanted to be there. He wanted to give his body to the WWE fans after, you know, we helped him as a fucking unit get to where he is. We were a vital part in getting Daniel Bryan to that spot, that WrestleMania moment. None of that would have happened without the fan support. None of it. WWE wasn't going to put him there. If we weren't as vocal as we were, Daniel Bryan wouldn't have been in WrestleMania's main event at number 30. That's a given. We changed the course of that WrestleMania. And I wish fans would do that more often. This is our product. We watch it every week. If we raise our voices in unison like we did with Daniel Bryan, maybe things would change for the better. But right now we're stuck with Roman Reigns and fucking Triple H and a WrestleMania that's looming, and it's not exciting at all. You know, everybody's going to miss Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan is one of a kind. In the midst of the modern era of WWE, you know, excluding the legends like The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels and a Triple H and those types of guys that are still there. The Rock, those part-time guys, a Lesnar. Daniel Bryan as an everyday performer, as an everyday WWE superstar. There was nobody since The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin that has captivated a WWE audience like Daniel Bryan. Nobody. He did everything the way it was supposed to be done, by being himself. He got over in a world of professional wrestling where everybody just seems so fucking forced and produced, and everybody seems like a fucking robot when they talk. Daniel Bryan goes out there and is Bryan Danielson, and people fucking loved it. And he got over because he was himself. You can't disrespect a guy such as Daniel Bryan. You can't. I'm going to miss him, and it sucks to hear this type of shit, man. It really does. I hope the concussion seizures aren't really true. That's some scary fucking shit. I just don't know why that kind of thing was not reported if it's that fucking serious. And we heard it for the first time on Monday Night Raw, and then when we heard it on SportsCenter with Jonathan Coachman. I just want to know why that type of thing was not reported. It would have put a lot of people at ease, but everything, for some odd reason, some bizarre reason, everything was just left in the dark when it came to Daniel Bryan. I just didn't understand it. But Daniel Bryan, obviously, if you're living in a fucking cave this week, retired from WWE, he walked away. He is now on his way to being a WWE Hall of Famer, no question. So, Daniel Bryan retired from the WWE. WWE possibly nixing Braun Strowman versus The Undertaker because of online backlash. Over the last week, major plans have been revealed about WWE and how they want to push the Wyatt family's black sheep, Braun Strowman, in 2016. The plan in place is for Strowman to face The Undertaker at WrestleMania 32. This was just a few months back. But it's unclear if he would get the win. Either way, if the match goes well, Braun would go on to face Brock Lesnar later in the year at SummerSlam in another big match. However, since the rumor of Strowman vs. Undertaker broke, the online backlash of what WWE has planned may have changed WWE officials' minds for Mania 32. According to PWInsider.com, there has been a lot of negative fan reaction for a potential match between Strowman and The Undertaker, and rightfully so. In fact, many WWE officials were not keen on the idea either. But Vince McMahon is so high on Strowman that the idea gained steam. Unfortunately, the negative reaction can only do so much if McMahon's mind is made up, since he ultimately has the final say on everything that happens in the WWE. If there is a great potential in Braun Strowman, Vince doesn't want to waste any time unlocking it and making him the next monster heel for the company. So, if there is great potential in Braun Strowman, like I said on part 2, why haven't we seen it? And why are we pushing Braun Strowman? A lot of you made mention of this, and I apologize for not mentioning this because it's certainly something that I've been thinking about, and I just didn't come out with it on part 2, and I didn't say it, but it's there. Why is WWE pushing Braun Strowman in the Wyatt family as the next dominant heel when you have Bray Wyatt there? What does that say about WWE and their feelings towards Bray Wyatt? You take Braun Strowman and you want to get him over, but Bray Wyatt's been doing this for 3 years. Bray Wyatt is a genius on the microphone. Bray Wyatt can go out there and give you a hell of a fucking match anytime he's called upon. His character is probably the most developed and best character WWE has on their roster. But yet they want to push Braun Strowman. What does that say to Bray Wyatt? That's what it says to Bray Wyatt. Braun Strowman, and I said this on part 2, and I will not go into this any further because I ranted a hell of a lot in part 2. If you guys missed that, link will be down in the description below. Braun Strowman needs a full year of marinating. Okay? And I said this on my iTunes podcast. Braun Strowman is like a fucking cookie sheet of chocolate chip cookies from the Pillsbury Doughboy. He's fucking a whole roll of dough cut up into small pieces, right? And you're about to put them in the oven. How long does it take to cook chocolate chip cookies in the oven? 15, 20 minutes. Turn the oven on, 325, right? Braun Strowman is that fucking tray of cookies in the oven. And you're so fucking thirsty for these cookies. And you're so fucking hungry for these cookies that you take them out 5 minutes after you just put them in. They're still doughy and they're fucking disgusting, right? That's Braun Strowman. He is not ready. You gotta leave Strowman in the oven And you gotta have them crispy. They gotta be crunchy. The chocolate chips gotta be nice and fucking melted, right? You gotta have some char on the bottom of that cookie. That's not Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman is fucking in a world of WWE where he hasn't had many singles matches. Tommy Dreamer was the last one I remember. And then you put him in there with stare downs versus the Big Show and Ryback and Kane. If he's got all this unlocked potential, unlock it already. Show me. The fuck you hiding it away for? Maybe if we unlocked this potential for Braun Strowman, maybe there wouldn't have been any online Backlash versus The Undertaker. And I would have been open to the match, but of course not. WWE does shit ass backwards, and Vince McMahon is fucking senile. Nobody wants it. And obviously the online fans don't want it either. And there was enough backlash to change WWE's plan. And my prediction? Strowman's going to get pushed. But as far as The Undertaker goes, John Cena will be fighting The Undertaker at WrestleMania. Mark my fucking words. I'll tell you who's not going to be fighting The Undertaker at WrestleMania. Kevin Owens. WWE officials have turned down the idea for Kevin Owens versus The Undertaker. Ever since John Cena's shoulder injury, the scramble to find Undertaker's WrestleMania 32 opponent has been debated and rumored about within and outside WWE. We know that Vince McMahon has advocated for Braun Strowman to fill that role and be the beginning of a monster heel push. However, that match has reportedly been scrapped due to poor reception from within the company and there being a lot of backlash online. While it's still a possibility that John Cena heals in time for WrestleMania and faces The Undertaker, we know that even if Cena can't return, WWE is not interested in a potential match between Kevin Owens and The Undertaker in Dallas this April. It's a match that Owens has publicly stated he'd be interested in having at WrestleMania. And according to WhatCulture.com, Owens pitched the idea hard backstage, but it was confirmed by WWE Wrestling Observer. WWE Wrestling Observer, Jesus Christ. It was confirmed by the Wrestling Observer newsletter that the match is not happening. It's not about a lack of faith in the former Intercontinental Champion's ability. Triple H is said to be a major believer in Kevin Owens and sees him as the future heel of the company. Apparently, Owens vs. Undertaker is just not where WWE wants to go creatively, and there are other plans for the Dead Man at WrestleMania 32. I like that this is not happening. This will have a time and a place for this to happen. All I'm going to say is this. The reason why they turned this idea down is because they know John Cena will be back. Plain and simple. John Cena will be back to go one-on-one with The Undertaker. There is not a fucking doubt in my mind that John Cena will fucking miss WrestleMania. He is not missing WrestleMania for anything in this world, especially being number 32 in Dallas, Texas, in front of 100,000 fucking people at AT&T Stadium. He's not missing it. He's not missing it. John Cena is in the gym every fucking minute of the day for the next fucking couple of weeks. He'll be ready. Because a 50% John Cena is better than a 100% Braun Strowman. That's all I got to say about that. Undertaker versus John Cena will happen because God only knows WWE needs that one big marquee match to put on this card. And that's going to be it. Undertaker, Cena, WrestleMania 32. Book it. If it doesn't happen, I will be completely fucking shocked. It's going to happen. And finally, guys, The Rock. Will he be wrestling at WrestleMania 32? The Rock's WrestleMania 32 status is confirmed, but his role on the show is still unconfirmed as of this writing. The reason for that is because not even WWE knows what The Rock is doing in Dallas. The latest rumors have Rock appearing in a non-wrestling role and potentially being in Roman Reigns' corner during his match against Triple H, with Shawn Michaels or Vince McMahon in Triple H's corner. However, DailyWrestlingNews.com is reporting that WWE is still trying to figure out a way for The Rock to wrestle a match at WrestleMania. While it's still very unlikely that he'll be able to work a match, but it's not 100% off the table yet as of right now. It's been reported that the People's Champion won't be available for most Raws and SmackDowns on the road to WrestleMania, so any match he will be in will most likely have to be carried by someone on the roster. It's still early enough that we could potentially see The Rock versus The Undertaker, or WWE could change their plans and give Lesnar versus The Rock in April since the match has been penciled in since WrestleMania 29. Whatever The Rock ends up doing on the grandest stage of them all, he'll certainly be able to entertain and do some lightweight stuff. There may just be too much red tape for him to wrestle an actual match. All I'm going to say is wait and see. Rock is going to be there. We just got to wait and see. He's not going to be on Raw. He's not going to be on SmackDown. The only thing that would make sense, not even Lesnar makes sense, because you need build. You need The Rock and Lesnar and the interaction with Paul Heyman. You can't have that match take place. You're going to shortchange us, and you don't want that to happen. If The Rock is going to wrestle and is allowed to wrestle at WrestleMania, it should be against The Undertaker, because that match really doesn't need any build. That's a marquee match. Undertaker could be on Raw and build this match. Rock could be seen via satellite or something like that. But with Rock, Lesnar, and Heyman, if you want to book that match with The Rock not being there, that's a mistake. Because you need that interaction with Heyman and Lesnar and The Rock on live television on Monday Night Raw. That would be a mistake if WWE goes that route if he is able to wrestle. But all in all, I don't think The Rock's wrestling at WrestleMania. That's just my gut feeling about this. More than likely, he will be in Roman Reigns' corner, serving as an enforcer type to ensure Roman Reigns beats the Authority and wins the WWE Championship once and for all at WrestleMania 32 in front of 100,000 people. Blah, 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 blah. That's all I got to say about that. That's Off the Script, guys. Thank you so much for watching this weekend. As always, if you did enjoy, don't be afraid to hit that thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. Follow me on Twitter. Everything in the description is for you guys. Go and check that out. I will be back on Monday with, of course, as always, the Monday Night Raw review for Monday's show, man. We got 1 week left until Fastlane, so look forward to that. I'm JD. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll be back on Monday with Monday Night Raw review. And make sure you download the podcast, iTunes, Stitcher Radio, AudioBoom, and PodBean. And leave a 5-star rating on iTunes if you guys are over on the Apple side of things, man. Until then, this is JD, and I'll talk to you soon.